Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Yeah, bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. This is Wales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterated, right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The God well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Like this. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets it. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar cost told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What's good, people? Hope everybody's having an outstanding first day of the year. It's been a good one for me. Just relaxing, taking it easy, having tea and shit. So I figured, let's do another one of the ones I did yesterday, because that was pretty fun. Just to kind of highlight what's out there, what's going on. I'm already seeing it, so why not share it, right? My name is Exquisite. How you doing? Happy New Year's to you and the Hex Asians. Hope you guys are doing outstanding out there. Yeah, it's crazy, man. There's a lot of funky stuff going on. You know, people gotta know. You guys gotta know. So let's get into it. This one I actually retweeted this morning. It's pretty good. You know, let me know if you guys hear the rumblings.
You are being controlled right now. You.
I'm gonna share the screen shortly. All right, let me know if you guys can hear it. Sound check.
Are being controlled.
This one's a little long, so bear with me. But it's important that you are aware of this stuff, because that's the point of these streams. You know, I could tell you all day, but you know, the information's out there. Other people are presenting it as well. It's not just me. So I figured I'd share that. All right, nice. Let's rock out then.
You are being controlled right now. In this moment, your decisions are not being made by you. And that's a bold statement to make, but it is absolutely true. I will tell you exactly how it's happening, but you need to listen very carefully. It's called the illusion of control. And it is exactly why I have chosen not to watch TV in over 10 years. We believe that we are in control of the media that we consume because we have the power to change the channel. But no matter what channel you are on, the programs that you are watching are programming you, programming your values, programming your beliefs, programming your ideas. And the scariest part of all, they are programming the decisions you then make without you even realizing it. Here are two things that you need to know about the mainstream media. One, the news is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Two, the media companies choose a handful of stories to cover each and every single day. That means that there's a 24-hour slot that needs to be filled with content. And guess what? The narrative is controlled in order to create a reaction in you. A reaction of fear, a reaction of doubt, a reaction of uncertainty. The reason for this is simple. Your brain is wired to react to danger and fear. It's a basic survival instinct. The media companies know this, and they are intentionally tricking you, controlling you, and manipulating you. In the media's eyes, your fear equals money. There are so many great things happening in the world right now that we do not hear about through the mainstream media. We don't hear about people's wins. We don't hear about their breakthroughs. We don't hear about the really powerful, positive, good changes which are happening. We're living in such an abundant time, yet most people don't realize that because of the programming that they're led to believe. Humans have an innate instinct to keep each other informed. This is not going to change anytime soon. Our obsession for searching for the truth has helped us in the long run. But good intentions can always be exploited through organizations and corporations who understand human psychology and have their own agendas at play. That's why we need to make a promise to each other to now put a question mark at the end of every news headline. I need you to remind yourself every single day that you are not willing to be controlled or manipulated. Your thoughts matter. Your freedom matters. Your control over your own life matters. I need you to take back your power. This is Regan Hillier, and thank you so much for watching. Over 7 billion people are being controlled and manipulated right now. I invite you not to be one of those people. I care about you, and I deeply care about your freedom. Please take a stand, share this video, and let yourself and the whole world know that you are not willing to be controlled, programmed, or manipulated, and you're not willing to let your loved ones be controlled either. I love you so much. Thank you for watching.
So it's interesting that this is obvious to so many people, but so many others just fail to acknowledge it. You know, and everything we do on this channel is predicated on cryptocurrency, right? So if everything we do is predicated on cryptocurrency, that means we have, you know, very basic concerns in terms of what our reality should be. Sorry, forgot that my mic was very far away from my face. Let me start over. So everything we do here is predicated on the basis of crypto. So, you know, the fact that some people see what's going on and others don't is, I guess, why crypto exists. I mean, that's one of the good reasons why cryptocurrency exists, because it allows people that are aware to find an avenue of approach that allows them to secure their financial freedom, because there's really no other way. Like, you can make all the millions of dollars you want, but you're still at risk if you're holding your wealth in dollars. And that's what people don't understand. The dollar is the problem. And if you don't understand the dollar system, then, you know, you'll ultimately be left behind. That's just the nature of what is upon us because of the reserve currency status of the dollar and all of the things that the United States government seemingly is involved in as it stands. You know, the way things are structured right now, that's just what it looks like. So it's important that people are aware of that and that they are prepared for the worst possible event. You know what I mean? And that's basically what this all boils down to. All right, on to the next video, guys. Oh. muted it. Check this out. Just check this out. This is funny.
New types of clouds have been added to this historic update coming from meteorologists. I'm a little biased, right? Exciting stuff, guys. All right. So the new types include the Volatus or roll cloud, which has been designated as a whole new species. You can see.
So in case you're not aware of what's going on, because it doesn't make sense, they're trying to tell people that there are new types of cloud shapes. Now, personally, I never knew that there were cloud shapes. I just thought clouds looked like clouds, but apparently they have shapes now. So who knew?
Gets its name from this long horizontal tube-like shape. Next one up, we have the cavum, or the hole punch cloud. This big circular gap is sometimes caused by aircraft taking off and landing. Very easy to see, right?
Oh, yeah. You know, it's super obvious, right? I mean, it's so obvious, I'm surprised they're even giving it a name.
Sense there. And we also have the Spiritus. These are gorgeous. It's actually my favorite. It's kind of looking like it waves while you're underwater. I mean, these are actually beautiful. I mean, check these out. And then finally, we also have the big surfer waves of the Flatus cloud. So beautiful, right? There's just a sample of the new additions that we have. Meteorologists, sky watchers, daydreamers, we're all geeking out, guys. New types of clouds have been added to this.
I mean, if you don't see what's going on here, you know. Yeah, lying mainstream media have just invented new clouds in an obscene attempt to cover up mass global geoengineering effort currently taking place. And yes, they definitely think people are that stupid. I mean, you guys see, first thing that happens this year is major earthquakes in Japan. Major earthquakes in Japan. Aftershocks reaching all the way to LA, supposedly. You know, there was a 4.1 magnitude Richter scale earthquake out there earlier today. You guys got to understand, reality isn't what you think it is. So, yeah. Let's check this out. Geologist Professor Ian Pilmer utterly demolishes the climate scam in 3.5 minutes. I mean, honestly, I don't think you need 3.5 minutes, but let's hear him out. Could be good.
We hear about climate scientists, whatever that is. Now, in geology, we have a 250-year track record of arguing about climate. Textbooks are full of it. We've been labouring about climate for a long while, and then there's this sudden new invention of climate science. And I had some of these.
That's an FYI for whoever was not aware.
When I was head of department at the University of Melbourne, and these are embittered, obscure, unemployable academics funded by your taxes, and those taxes are to fund these people's hobbies. And the end result of that is that they put good people out of work and they cost our nation trillions. So there's one group of people that use models, another group of people, I mean, this is really sinful. We use evidence. And the two are not in accord. And if they're not in accord, you've got to throw out the models, which we've seen time and time again are incorrect. So we can look back in the past and we can see that we've had 6 great ice ages. During that ice age, we'll have the ice expand, that's a glaciation, or it will contract, that's an interglacial. We are currently in an interglacial of an ice age that started on a Thursday 34 million years ago. And the ice come and gone. In the last glacial, sea level was about 7 metres higher. Temperature was about 5 degrees warmer. So if someone says, oh, this is the hottest day on record, you have to ask, since when? If it's the hottest day in the last 120,000 years, then that is a record. But since when? So if we go to the peak of our interglacial, which was about 4,000 years ago, it was about 5 degrees warmer. So it's cooler than the hottest temperature on record. If we go to the time of Jesus, when it was warm, it's about 4 degrees cooler than then. If we go to the Dark Ages, go to the Viking Age, we've actually warmed up since then. If we go to the medieval warming, we've cooled down since then. And if we go to the Little Ice Age...
Can we double check on that echo? Apparently there's an echo. Just want to double check. I'll disconnect my earpiece and reconnect if anything. So just let me get a sound check. Grazie. And I just want to say, while I'm waiting for you guys, echo little sounds kind of cool. Okay, there is an echo. All right, we're gonna continue from here, and probably won't be an echo. Wait, browser has lost. Okay, I gotta reshare. All right, we should be good to go. Let's see. We're gonna do a quick audio check and give me a Y or N. Thanks.
We've warmed up since then. So since when?
Nice still, the gentleman. I mean, you guys got to understand, the idea behind me sharing this information is just to give you something else to think about, give you a whole other vantage point. Because you got to realize there's multiple vantage points to what we consider history. And the one you've been taught is just flat out wrong. A lot of the vantage points you have with respect to a lot of things that are based on mainstream, I mean, anything mainstream is just wrong. So this information is to get you started on where you need to be thinking,
And I know this is going to surprise you, but we've just come out of a little ice age. What do you think temperature's going to do? Fall or rise? It's been rising since the Maunder minimum more than 300 years ago. So it is no surprise that if you have cut-off times for temperature or for sea level or for hurricanes or whatever, you can spin whatever yarn you want to spin. These 6 great ice ages started when we had more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than now. We have 0.04% of that gas in the atmosphere. We hear like emissions. Well, that means nothing to me because the atmosphere has changed its carbon dioxide content from over 20% to now, which is really low in geological time. If we halved life, and animals would die.
Well, damn. Maybe that's the goal. Shit. Because they're trying to get rid of us anyway. That's one way to do it. Get rid of all the damn food. Good old Bill Coop. Let's see what he has to say.
Let me show you something here. How many of you have seen this? What is that? Where have you seen it? Pardon?
Damn, again?
Where?
Again with the echo? Yeah, I don't know if it's let me stop sharing and reshare. See if that makes it go away.
You seen that? Jehovah's Witnesses, that's true. Where else? How many of you watch Pat Robertson? You don't recognize that?
He had that for a long time. It's the symbol of what? Great Christian broadcasting network. Who's on TVN? Huh? What does it mean? This is the marriage of church and state. Is that what you want? What happened the last time you had the marriage of church and state? Anybody who disagreed got what? Burned at the cross, placed on the rack, chopped into pieces, tortured, murdered, burned. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe in freedom. If that's what you want, you're entitled to want that all you want. But I got to tell you, you try to bring this into being and I'll fight you with everything I've got. Because I don't believe in burning people at the stake. I don't believe in placing them on the rack. And I am a Christian. You see, that's democracy. When you have enough people who believe like you do to force your will upon everyone else, you become the bad guy. What does freedom say? What is freedom? The right to choose. As long as I don't hurt the person or property of any other human being, I can believe what I want, go to whatever church I want, be whatever I want, read whatever book I want, do whatever I wish, and do it abundantly and with prosperity. And without freedom, I couldn't do any of it, neither can you. When you ask for this, you're asking for enslavement. And right now, you might be the slave master, but who's going to be in charge 50 years from now? That's the uncertainty about these things. You might be on top now, but just wait a little while. It never fails. If you study the history of the world, you'll find whoever the oppressed is today will be the master tomorrow. A lot of what's happening in the world today is because this happened yesterday. Make no mistake about it, everything that is happening in the world today is because of race and religion and the persecution caused by those two different things throughout the history of the world. So, gee, if our founding fathers were deists and they were members of the secret societies, and some of them were masquerading as Christians, and some of them were just flat weren't Christians, weren't masquerading at all, why did they create this country? They came here to create a new world, not a country. How many of you really read what they wrote? They didn't come here to create a country. They came here to create a new world.
Interesting stuff, guys. Expand that mind. This is a good one.
In 1872, Rockefeller bought up, shut down, or bankrupt 90% of the oil companies. Our good old Constitution came into place, and in 1911, the Supreme Court found Rockefeller in violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act and split Standard Oil into 34 independent companies. So they said, you can't have the monopoly on this, you're done. You think that changed who he was? No. He promised to bankrupt America. At that very same time, they were learning how to turn petrochemicals, exactly what he had at his fingertips with the oil, into pharmaceuticals. Now, John D. Rockefeller's biggest threat was natural health. So what does he do? Being the businessman he is, he donates money to the medical schools because he wants to control. And what do you do when you want to control someone? You give him money. And then he hired a guy by the name of Flexner to study the school's curriculum, to figure out what they were teaching everybody, and to persuade the government to establish allopathic medicine, which used the unnatural substances to treat diseases. This is how Western medicine was founded.
There you go, folks. A little history lesson for you. You know, and I guess another thing that all of this information does is that it gives you perspective to understand why crypto exists as well. right? Because all of this is really tied together to why crypto. It really, really is. So let's check this out here. The Dutch political commentator Eva Vlad, I can't say it. Let's just call her Eva Vlar, she says over here. Unelected globalists are using the climate scam as a pretext to shut down the global farming industry, leaving people no option but to eat insects and lab-grown meat under the banner of UN Agenda 2030. Hey, I'll tell you what, if you
In
guys aren't
2019, the
hip to the raw diet, you might want to check it out. Might come in handy.
In 2019, the courts ruled that the Netherlands was actively in a nitrogen crisis. And that ruling has been the basis for our government to crack down on our farmers' rights and even move.
She said 2019, by the way. Let's take that back, all the way back to the top. 2019. It's 2023. Oh, excuse me. Happy New Year. 2024.
In 2019,
the
courts ruled that the Netherlands was actively in a nitrogen crisis. And that ruling has been the basis for our government to crack down on our farmers' rights and even move towards expropriation of their land. The nitrogen crisis does not exist. It's a pretext.
Expropriation means just taking people's lands because they are going to make up an excuse to do it, because the government can do that in pretty much every jurisdiction that I know of.
It's a lie. The nitrogen crisis is a manufactured crisis created by bureaucrats in The Hague and in Brussels. The attack on farming in the Netherlands is part of a bigger agenda that is centered around control. In fact, it's the typical globalist strategy. They create a crisis. Boy, have we seen that in the past 3 years, what that looks like. They create a crisis and then they say, well, and the answer to this crisis, the solution to this crisis is you giving up your rights. Not us, but you. And that's exactly what is happening here with the Dutch farmers. So remember how I said earlier in this speech that the farmers need to give up their farms before 2030, specifically that year? Yeah, so that's not a coincidence. That year doesn't come out of nowhere. So that year is basically the deadline that our global elites have given our country and will probably give you to abide by these new regulations. And that agenda is called the 2030 Agenda. And now I have a slide showing you what that entails. So the 2030 Agenda is a United Nations agenda. So there we go. Everybody is part of the United Nations, right? The entire world. And this agenda consists of 17 what they call sustainable development goals. And when you take a look at them right there, you're like, well, what's wrong with that? They all seem very noble. No poverty, no hunger. Who could be against that? However, if we take a closer look at how they actually want to accomplish all of this, anybody with 2 functioning brain cells realizes that this cannot happen unless there is an active and maybe even forceful redistribution of goods, foods, property, and our rights, which basically comes down to the obliteration of all of our basic liberties and our rights. And these goals, as I said, are not restricted solely to the Netherlands. They are global. And that's where we see their true motive. The people behind this want to establish a one world government, a new world order in which they decide what we eat, when we eat, where we travel, when we travel, who we meet, and what we are allowed to spend our money on. Basically, control over every single aspect of our lives. And I'm sure that many of you have heard the famous sentence from Klaus Schwab, where he says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? Yeah, that's this agenda. So why are the people behind this agenda specifically targeting farmers? Well, it's because obviously they really want our way of life, and the things that we eat to radically change. They don't want us to eat foods that make us strong. They want us to eat synthetic meat created by Bill Gates. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to drink soy milk so that we become weak and obedient, and we do as they say, and we buy what they offer.
There you go, folks. It's not a game. And this is a political person a political commentator. So she's basically risking her life by making this statement publicly. All right, now check this out, folks. This is in Beverly Hills. I'm guessing within the past 24 hours. I don't know who this Ian person is, but it seems like they just ride up on this dude and he's like, get the hell out of the way. I'm trying to leave or something. I mean, that's just what it seems like to me. But let's watch. Because he looked like he was trying to get back in his whip. That's what it looked like to me. Because that vehicle is empty. That Benz. So that must be his vehicle. Yeah. I mean, this is in broad daylight. This is what's going on in broad daylight in Beverly Hills. I mean, that's a female. These are people on fucking clown bikes. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I don't know who this guy is. Maybe he's an actor or some shit. Maybe this is a stunt. I don't know. Whatever. Let's focus on happiness for a little bit. What does this guy have to say? Let's see. Let us find out.
Watch your thoughts. As soon as a negative or a judgmental thought comes in there, you're aware of it. Stop it. Don't pursue it. Think of something that makes you feel good. You're walking by outside, you're going for a walk. Why don't you stop and smell the flowers that you encounter? You walk past them all the time. Acknowledge them, how beautiful they are. Like the nasturtiums are in full bloom now. You go for a walk. There's all kinds of things you can stop and just look closely at nature. It's the little things. Awareness, your connectivity with nature, with the all that is. The sages have told us that for thousands of years. We are very, very powerful. Watch your thoughts.
There you go. Watch your thoughts. That's a very true statement. All right. Do you believe the food industry is connected to the farming industry? I didn't really watch this one, but if you've been around long enough, probably got an idea that, all these people are basically colluding. Yeah. We'll keep moving. Try to see if we can amp it up with the next one. Probably not, though. What are they talking about here?
Not another doctor.
Brave doctors were warning us decades ago. How about that?
I think, but let's get. He does make a point that we should also say Sabin is live, and the live vaccine itself is inactive. Is inactive, as we say in the laboratory. All right. How many was it? They asked.
Well, how many people know that the European epidemic of polio, there were about 20 or 30 cases in this country. Now, of course, the American doctors will argue that the reason why polio disappeared in this country was because of the vaccine. But then why did it disappear in Europe in the 1940s and the 1950s without mass vaccination? Why doesn't it occur in the third world where only 10% of the people have ever been immunized against polio or anything else?
So, in other words, we may be fighting a tiger that died.
That's quite correct.
Ask the people in Great Britain. Ask the people in Japan who...
Back here, gentlemen, if you please. I've got probably the smartest audience we've ever had.
I have a question. How long a delayed action, if any, would you connect this with, like MS?
Is MS a possibility? Would multiple sclerosis be one of the possible results?
As a matter of fact, there's a new publication that just came out from John Hawkins, the close associate of Toni Morrison, that gives the references linking MS in later life to the early introduction of live virus vaccines like measles and like some of the others that are live viruses. Now, at the present time, I would recommend that anybody who has MS or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or any of those degenerative neurologic conditions of later life carefully review their vaccine histories.
I would also like to comment to that, because in connection with my case, I've been doing some research.
Let me tell him once again, Ms. Gundy, that you are a Guillain-Barré victim contracted following your receipt of the swine flu vaccination.
Yes, and I am in the process of writing a book about my experience, and in the process I've done considerable research. And from what I have learned, it looks as if immunizations frequently cause autoimmune.
There you go. That's crazy. Because, you know, people really think that this stuff is just happening today. And as you can see, it is definitely not new. I think this is that clip. Yep. So there you go, folks. More information to open up your mind. Let's see what's going on here. Apparently in this clip, not one child rapist on the Epstein client list has been arrested. We all know that. That's not news. I don't think anybody's surprised either. I mean, it's kind of part of the problem. FBI has arrested and disappeared Epstein, the pimp, and Maxwell, the groomer, but not a single client has been arrested. And now the victim, I guess, is going to speak. Let's listen in.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison, because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on. I have...
Well, she looks about 40-something. Taking a wild guess. Can't really tell, but she's up there. She is not a spring chicken, that's for sure. All right, this is one of these tweets we got to read through. And this is one of those tweets that's just providing general information that I think if you look outside, you can tell it's already happening. Consumers are rejecting the Great Reset. Growth in gas cars is now far higher than electrics, flipping a trend from 12 months ago. This is true. For a little while there, people were suckered into this false reality of electric cars. And you guys got to understand, it's not that electric cars equal bad. It's that we don't have good electric cars, period. That's a problem. Because if you look back to what existed 100 years ago, significantly outpaces what exists today. Rona vaccine uptake has plummeted. Pfizer stock is down 50% from 2 years ago. Moderna is down 70% in the same time frame. Now, I think you guys can kind of tell what's going on with that. Zuckerberg's Threads has failed. There's a lack of enthusiasm for heavily censored social media platforms. Now, look, we all know even Twitter or X, whatever the hell, is censored to a certain degree. And we all know that porn proliferates on this damn platform. So it's not like it's perfect either. But there's literally no reason to do anything on anything Facebook controls. And anybody with a brain that uses social media knows that. So it's kind of pretty straightforward. Isn't there another one too? Some with an M? Sounds like a dinosaur. The decline in interest and market value for alternative meat products like Beyond Meat, alternative meat. Just call it fake meat, bro, because that's exactly what that is. Even diversity, equity, and inclusion has hit the skids. Wisconsin just dialed back all funding and froze the programs. Oh my God, stupidity is failing all over. What shall we do? What shall we do? Bam. All right. Let's check this one out.
I'm now going to test the difference between Crocs, wooden shoes for the Dutchies, and bare feet or bare hand. So direct connection with the earth. So I now connect myself with the meter. So it now says 0, right? And when I touch the ground with 1 foot, you see the numbers change. And up. And now, when I connect myself with the wooden shoes, it still gives me a number, which means that it still conducts with the earth. And what I read on the internet was that only trees, because they have juice flowing, still juice flowing with the ground, that trees only connect, and just wooden floors and like wooden shoes also, I think, would not conduct. But I see something different, so interesting. So it's important to do your own research, right? And not believe everything they show you on the internet. So don't believe me, do it yourself.
Boom. Sage advice. Think you guys have heard that one before. Come on.
I'm now going to test the difference between Crocs, wooden shoes for...
Oh. If you eat Domino's, brace yourself.
Domino's Pizza Institute announced.
Because you should have known this by now anyway. Fake ass pizza. That's why we in New York can brag. Because y'all be eating that fake ass pizza. Acting like it's not fake. I don't know why you do that. Don't. Watch this.
Domino's Pizza Institute announced yesterday that they are nearing completion of their 30-year study testing. Domino's Pizza Institute announced yesterday. Domino's Pizza Institute announced yesterday that they are nearing completion of their 30-year study testing the limits of what human beings will eat.
People willingly ate everything our lab created. In fact, they pay money for it. The results continue to surprise me.
Over the course of the study, Domino's scientists have found that decreasing the nutritional value and increasing the visual repulsiveness of their pizzas only makes them more popular.
This applies to the crispy melt pizza. It's basically one pizza inverted on top of another pizza. It looks like something no animal should consume, much less a human.
One recent creation is constructed out of a cardboard-based crust layered in Oreo cookie crumbs and drizzled with a wax-like substance.
We hypothesized that the sight of it alone would repulse customers, but it became one of the most popular items on the menu.
The Domino's scientists now believe that a certain percentage of human beings may have a genetic predisposition to eat unhealthy foods made from other, even unhealthier foods.
This is crazy. The standard American diet, or the SAD diet, as I call it, is already terrible, but people on top of that eat all of this processed fast food, which is killing us slowly.
Yes, sir. There you go. They did a study, and they is the purveyors of the goddamn product. So, something to think about.
The rich are about to get a taste of their own medicine. Get ready for the revolution. It's coming. It's time to eat the rich. And I don't know if you heard, but billionaires are splurging on bunkers. People like Beyonce and Jay-Z, tech billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg, and they're buying up bunkers to hide because soon society is about to collapse. And they created all of this mess going on with the economy. And it's so ridiculous. They think they can buy their way out of everything, even consequences. Take, for example, Mark. He's dropped a whopping $270 million on a secret Hawaiian hideout, complete with a massive underground bunker. And he's not the only one. There are about 700 billionaires in the USA, and the US population is about 330 million people. So good luck hiding from the angry mass of people that's about to explode. Who knows? Maybe you can escape this life, but you will not be able to escape the next.
That was just funny in my opinion. I think if they're promoting bunkers, you're not gonna need them. So only people that are gonna get suckered into getting that are gonna get that.
Tell the world exactly how we do this. Now, I'll probably lose my my admission to the world hackers community. However, I want to tell you.
Pay attention.
These devices are computers, whether it's an Android phone, an iOS phone, or whatever. Inside is a processor, which is a computer, the instruction set, which is the iOS and all the applications that you run, and the memory in which you store your data. You need a hardware engineer and a software engineer. The hardware engineer takes the phone apart, and it copies the instruction set, which is the iOS and applications, and your memory. And then you run a piece of a program called a disassembler, which takes all the ones and zeros and gives you readable instructions. Then the coder sits down and he reads through. And what he's looking for is the first access to the keypad, because that's the first thing you're doing when you input your pad. It'll take half an hour. When you see that, then he reads the instructions for where in memory this secret code is stored. It is that trivial. A half an hour. The FBI knows this. Apple knows this. And this is not an indictment of Apple. Any computer, and this is a computer, any computer that falls into someone's hands, well, anybody can do it, which is why corporate data centers keep their computers locked up.
Well, there you have it, guys. How to hack a phone. Hope you were paying attention. This one I have not seen, but looks interesting. Apparently, this is a story in chronology of the first man.
This is a story of Adam. Created in 4004 BC, had two sons. Unfortunately, one killed the other. Had a third son at the age of 130 named Seth. He then had more sons and daughters, and our tradition says he had 56 children with Eve. Lamech, he spoke to for 56 years, who just happens to be Noah's dad. And then ultimately Adam dies in 3074 BC. All right, let's talk about the two Enochs. Now, Cain had a son named Enoch, but we're going to skip over to the one that Seth had. Seventh from Adam, there's Enoch. He is the man that never died. What does that mean? He was translated. He walked with God for 365 years, had sons and daughters, of which Methuselah, who was Noah's grandfather, lived to be 969 years old. But at the age of 365 years, because of his righteous character, okay, that's what got him in heaven. He never saw death. He was just snatched up right into heaven. And that's Enoch. He's mysterious, but very cool. Thanks for asking.
There you go. Wasn't as interesting as I thought it was going to be. All right. This is my cup of tea here. Learn who rules over you. Simply listen to the previous chair of the Federal Reserve. Now, I've seen this a million times. I don't know if you have, but listen closely.
First of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency.
What is the proper relationship? What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter.
What is the proper relationship? What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place, and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are.
I mean, did you guys catch that?
What the relationships are, then things is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then the administration or the Congress or anybody else, that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then
Other than what they think is the appropriate thing. Hope you caught that. Can't get any more obvious than that. Now here we go. This is a good one. This is every single one person that was on Epstein's flight logs, apparently. Or everyone that's getting this award. That Meryl Streep? Damn. Barbara Streisand too? You know, she done one of the main pimps. Yeah, well, there you have it, folks. I got a goodie for you on the next one. The actual flog manifest, the flight log manifest. And there's a link for you. Enjoy. Now you can look at information that's, I don't know. I don't even know how old this is. This has got to be like over 10 years old. 91. So you can imagine how long this has been floating around the internet. Jeffrey Epstein, Heather Jeffrey, I don't know who that is. But, you know, take a look. See if you find anything you might find interesting. There's Ghislaine. Fucking horrible name. So yeah, just, you know, more of the obvious being exposed, I guess. But this is old information, you know, so this is not even, it's like whatever. So this is the government exhibit stamp. And this is on one of those repository sites. So, you know, has all this metadata and stuff. So, you know, I don't think it's fake. Seems pretty real to me. Now I can't get into the damn document. Anyway, that's that with that one. You guys can have fun with the link. And to top it all off, the cherry on top, the piece de resistance. This is not generated by AI. All right. If you're religious, you need to understand that if you support the Pope, you are on the wrong side of history, period. Because that's who he rocks with right there, in case you didn't know. So those are things you should know. You know, that's a little snippet into what goes on in our realm that people like to ignore for one reason or another. And, you know, it behooves you to be aware of what is actually going on, because that's the only way you can actually protect yourself. If you can't see what's coming, you know, you don't stand a chance. And that's just how the cookie crumbles. So that's why I think I'm going to start doing these types of streams more often, because they're just going to give you guys some more awareness. Me repeating myself is only going to do but so much. We'll still talk about crypto, of course, because that's the main everything. You know, without that, you know, we're trapped. And the whole idea is you need to be prepared to deal with that trap. And that really is, for now, crypto, guns and everything else. So we just cover a small piece of everything you need to be self-sustaining, because it's really about becoming self-sustaining, right? That's really the only way you can win. So with that, you guys have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll probably stream them all. We'll see. Peace. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God.